As high schoolers, we get a first-hand experience in the real world of education. Not a movie where everyone's pretty and happy and sings, or an anti-drug PSA where everyone who does drugs is a really shady and super hardcore criminal as a teardrop for everyone he's killed.
No, we see it as it really is. A corrupt system that degrades the minds of the future generations into autonomous drones for the American workforce. Save for the next Alex Jones.
I don't like gay people. I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Serious crap. I'm sick of being social engineered. It's not funny.
There are two primary reasons why the education system doesn't work. First, because teachers just aren't paid enough. What's the most important job in the world, besides those chefs that make those really cute tiny pastries? Teachers.
They teach us things like social skills, time management, how the Mongols took over the world, how to be productive members of society, how to deal with assholes and unfairness.
You know what their reward is for year-long stress and managing hundreds of kids? The average salary of a teacher is $32,000 after taxes.
Which is literally just $13,000 over the poverty line for a two-person home. That's right, the teachers who are putting their hearts and souls into these kids are barely above the poverty line. This only gets worse because the average cost of tuition is almost $15,000 a year, and as this article explains, it takes a lot of education to become a teacher. Requirements vary state by state, but teachers are typically required to complete a master's degree and usually require spending time as an unpaid student teacher. At minimum, teachers have to complete 4 years of post-secondary education, and in many areas, a master's degree is either an official requirement or unofficial. That's 8 years of school and more time in an unpaid student teacher position.
Future educators are being turned away from the job because it's something that they can't even live off of. Now, while I agree a teacher shouldn't be in it for the money, I think we can all agree that this guy needs a raise.
As well as everyone else's salaries, because they can hardly stay in their job as it is, and the bright people who would make wonderful teachers are being pushed away instead of onward to raise the next generation. Another very apparent problem is that the curriculum and learning style still used in most public schools is outdated. A Florida lawmaker said the purpose of the reading standardized test is to assess whether the student has a reading deficiency and needs additional help before promoting to the next grade. The test can only achieve that if the student meaningfully takes part in the test by attempting to answer all of its questions. Anything less is a disservice to the student and the public.
This quote is A, really mean, and B, ignoring the years of research and studies proving that the kids who are failing these tests do not have learning deficiencies and prove nothing in the way of academic achievement and potential.
Especially when these tests determine whether a child is held back or can cause ridicule by peers because he doesn't know what a semicolon does. Like, does anyone know what a semicolon does?
Some commonly pointed out problems with these tests are they're unfairly advantaging those who can afford test prep, they're radically limiting teachers' ability to adapt to learning differences in kids, they're providing no feedback to the teachers. Other ways of learning like art, music, and other forms of literature are being completely ignored by these tests. A lot of kids don't think in standardized ways, and these tests are punishing them. They're still a part of the same core curriculum that was adopted in 1893. That's all the way back when Miss Glankler was born.
Yet still, the curriculum from 3rd to 11th grade is teaching for a test at the end of the year provided by private companies, which not only A, doesn't really assess whether you've learned anything, but also B, makes kids who are smart in other ways feel dumb or that they are hindering the community. Obviously, the system is wrong in so many ways. No kid should be held back or feel like they are anything less than everyone else because of a test that doesn't prove anything at all.
There are way more problems plaguing the public education system, with racism and corruption running rampant, but the problems I've talked to you about today represent a major milestone for what future generations are going to need changed in order to solve future problems.
Remember, firstly, that teachers are underpaid, and because of the low wages, current teachers can hardly afford to live, even though they have one of the most important jobs in the world. And second, the current teaching method is outdated and inconsistent with the ever-changing and modern world. But there are ways we can solve these issues. We just need to acknowledge them and move on to fixing them. Passing legislation, raising teacher salaries, and changing standardized testing to better fit individuals would be just a start. But the size of our steps don't matter as long as they're in the right direction.